All right, everybody. Welcome to the week 1 fantasy recap, or you could call it the week 2 preview, whatever you want to call it. Football's back. We're back. It's happened. We waited all this time, and it's back. And guess what? We're all back to being pissed off. We're all back to being frustrated. Aren't we so happy that we're back to this? Isn't this just wonderful, being upset and stressed and all this stuff every single day of our lives? And then we spend the whole offseason wishing that it was this time of year. So whatever, is what it is. Let's talk about our teams. Real quick, just real football. Bills won, but, it was way too stressful for a home game against the Cardinals. Defense has got some work to do. Taron Johnson already out on injury, which is lovely when we're on against Miami on a short week, but let's hope for the best. Thought the offense looked good. So we'll see. Miami, Marissa, they looked terrible. You owe Travis Etienne a thank you card for fumbling that ball, because the whole game changed on that one play. Jags are about to be up 24-7 instead. Nope. One play later, it's 17-14. 14-point swing on one play. And big play for Rob as well, because obviously having Tyreek Hill, that 80-yard touchdown pass was pretty significant. I don't remember who's got Etienne. I think it's Aaron. But missing out on that touchdown definitely didn't help anything for him, although I think he won anyway. So Dolphins didn't look great, but I'm me, so I'm obviously still nervous as hell going into Thursday Night Football this week. Who else we got? Pats, JJ, congratulations. Pats already exceeded the win total that we thought they'd have for the season. No, I thought the Pats were, a 6-7 win team. I still think they're a 6 or 7 win team, but that was a gritty win against a Bengals team that didn't look very competitive on Sunday. On to the two New York teams. Giants, it's already been beaten into the ground at this point. You knew going into the season you had to move on from Daniel Jones, and everybody who watched Hard Knocks knew that Joe Shane and those guys, they were not sold on it. They wanted to go up and get Jaden Daniels. They wanted to go up and get Drake May, and they just couldn't. The only way they were going to go up and get them was to go do a Robert Griffin III deal to go up and get them, which obviously the Giants weren't interested in doing. Hindsight, maybe they should have. Not that we know that Drake May is good yet, or even Jaden Daniels, but we know that Daniel Jones is not the guy. We know that. So, and for a long season, and you got to hope that the quarterback prospects next year are good. And for Shane and Dable, are they even going to survive it to see who get to be able to draft one of those quarterbacks? During Hard Knocks, Joe Shane's kid, his teenage son, told him, draft Jaden Daniels. He said, you only get one chance at this. And we'll see. And then the Jets last night, obviously Aaron Rodgers played the whole game. That's already a win for where they were last year. Obviously the defense looked rough, getting run over by a team with no Christian McCaffrey, just getting the ball run down your throat the whole night, was not ideal for the Jets defense. Rodgers looked okay. However, you could say at San Francisco is probably the toughest game on your whole schedule. So, better days ahead. So we'll see. The Jets play 4 extremely winnable games the next 4 weeks. So, you could very well be 4-1 going into the Bills game. We'll see what happens. So that's our teams. Let's talk about fantasy. We'll skip right over mine and Marissa's game. No need to talk about that. Marissa gave me a good beating. I'm looking at my top scorers, and when you see your number one scorer was your kicker, that's not great. Yeah, Brandon Aubrey showed up for me, and Bijan was fine. My first round pick. He wasn't, he didn't go crazy, but 16 points was fine. And then I didn't have another double digit scorer on my entire team. Zeke on my bench was my only other double digit scorer, so nobody showed up for me this week, and it was what it was. I thought I was going to be kicking in the money for the last place punishment, but fortunately, JJ and Ken outdid me in that one, so it's JJ kicking in the money. For Marissa, Anthony Richardson, stud, and Rashard White, and CeeDee Lamb didn't have like a CeeDee Lamb game, but still put up 13.5 points. So Marissa gives me a good beat in 129.18 to 89.66. Moving on, I don't even know all your team names yet. I think this is Justin. Let's find out. This is Justin. So Justin is Code Brown. And he took on Courtney. So Justin with the 125-108 win. This was the closest game we had. I don't know if it was the closest game in score, but it was the closest game. Yeah, definitely the closest game in score. We had a lot of blowouts this week. A lot of blowouts. This was the closest game in score, but even this game didn't have a bench performer that, if Courtney played somebody else, would have made the difference in the game. He did have Alexander Mattinson on the bench, who had an excellent game, but even if he starts him over, I forget who Courtney's second running back was, even if he starts him, he still loses by 5. Would have been a much tighter game, but still, the net result would have still been the same. Barkley had a huge game for him. Lamar had a huge game for him. Unfortunately for Courtney, nobody else showed up. For Keogh is consistent. Jerome Ford had a good game. Tony Pollard had a good game. Nico Collins had a good game. And he just had consistent good games that got him the W there. So Keogh 1-0. Courtney at 0-1. Moving on. Aaron did not have a very good game. He just fortunately went against JJ, who had an even worse game. JJ's game was over the minute they said Christian McCaffrey's not playing. That game was over, and that is why you handcuff people. That is why you got to handcuff. If I'm not saying that all my guys are handcuffed, but that is the benefit to handcuffing right there. That's why you got to grab those guys. So for Aaron, he had Jaden Daniels with a big game. We talked about him a little bit. Ken Walker had a big game. Other than that, nobody really showed up. However, for JJ, it was just Cooper Kupp. After Cooper Kupp, it was nilch across the board. So JJ owes everybody $5, which will be kicked into the highest score at the end of the season. Pay up. No, I'm just kidding. I'll get the money at the end of the year. So Aaron's on the board 1-0 with Justin with JJ at 0-1. Moving on, like I said, so many blowouts this week. There wasn't any last place. There was no bench performers that were going to change any of these games. Rob, with the second highest score of the week, destroyed Kyle 170, almost 172 to 97. Rob got a monster performance out of Josh Allen and then traded him during the game for some reason. That I don't understand, but hey, do you. Josh Allen, QB1, literally QB1 in fantasy right now, as usual, as he's been the last 4 years in a row. So 31 points from Allen. We talked about the long Tyreek Hill touchdown, 26 points from Tyreek, 24 points from Jameson Williams. Kyle got decent games out of A-Chain and Breece Hall and James Cook. Man, he's got three nice running backs there. But obviously the rest of the team did not show and led to a victory for Rob there. And like I said, the second highest score in the league. Another blowout. Larry blows out Ken here. Ken got decent games out of Montgomery and Brian Thomas and Garrett Wilson. Not even a good game for him, 12 points. But better days are ahead for him. Larry got monster performance. I'm pretty sure Saquon was RB1 because of all the touchdowns, but I'm pretty sure Joe Mixon had the most points or the most yards for any running back in football this past week. Big game for him. Bears defense with a monster game. They won that game all by themselves because Caleb Williams and his nails did not show. Mike Evans with a big game. Larry cruises to Henry Ruggs race team cruises to a victory in the game. Tom, we all teased him about the DJ Moore pick, and thought we got some good chuckles out of him at the draft, and guess what? Boom. Blowout victory for Tom, 145-95 against Zach. Tom got big games out of Godwin, Diggs, Dallas defense with almost 20 points. Defenses and kickers made huge differences in a lot of games in fantasy this week. I mean, there was multiple kickers with 20-plus point games, defenses with 15-plus point games. There were some big performances. For Zach, got pretty good games out of, got a decent game out of Debo, certainly better than Ayuk. Pacheco had an okay game. Other than that, the rest of the team didn't really show, and with Tom scoring 145 points, it didn't really matter. And then finally, another blowout. The highest score of the week goes to Marcel. Marcel with 177.84 points, led by Jaden Reed with 33. I was just talking about kickers. His kicker, Jake Moody, goes for 26 points last night. A.J. Brown, another 23 points. There are some beast games, which obviously led to the highest score of the week. Rich didn't have necessarily a bad game. I mean, Gibbs was good. Hurts was okay. Devontae Smith was decent, but he ran into a buzzsaw. I ran into the highest score of the week, and that is what it is. On to week 2. Who we got? Let's see. We have me and Zach. That should be an easy win for me. And I'm just kidding. So Zach and I, right now, I know most people haven't even set their lineups yet or done waivers or anything like that, but right now we're looking at a 6-point projected win for me. We've got a close one between Justin and Aaron. Keo's is currently projected to win by less than 2 points. Courtney and Kyle, with Kyle projected to win by less than a point. We got JJ and Larry, with JJ projected to win by 4 currently. Rob and Tom, brother on brother crime there. Rob's projected to win by 8. We've got Ken versus Rich, with Ken projected to win by 21. And then that's the biggest gap I've seen so far. So I'm assuming Rich's lineup is probably just not set yet. And then Marcel is currently projected to beat, I don't know who this is. Oh, Marissa is projected to beat Marissa by 5. So I haven't really looked at all the games yet. I'm kind of just winging this preview. It was a long day at work today, and then Will had flag football after school, and all of you who are parents know what it's like getting all the kids to bed and everything like that. I still haven't even eaten dinner yet, so I haven't really given the NFL schedule a full look. Obviously, I know that Bills-Dolphins Thursday night, so that's going to determine my mood for the rest of the week and decide how we go from there. Let's go week 2. Let's see who the rest of you are playing. New Orleans, Dallas, Tampa, Detroit, Indy, Green Bay. All right, here. Jets at Tennessee. That's obviously a game that you guys should win. Tennessee, had a lead against Chicago, but I don't think Chicago's some team that everybody is worried about. And I would imagine the Jets defense should eat up Will Levis and his mayonnaise. But we'll see. They're on the road, but I would assume the Jets would handle their business there. Giants at Washington. This is a big game, not because, either of these teams are super relevant to real life football or anything like that, but if Daniel Jones goes out and puts up another performance like last week, I mean, they have to seriously consider. I mean, it would have been nice if Drew Lock was healthy or if they had a real option behind him. I know Tommy DeVito, but, not really. They got to start really thinking about what they want to do if Jones throws up another stinker there. And then who do the Pats play? Where are the Patriots? Oh, Seattle at New England. It's not a, I would pick Seattle when we do the pick'ems, but it's certainly, New England just beat Cincy. There's no reason they can't beat Seattle too. They're not some world-beating team. They squeaked by Denver this past week. It wasn't like they put up a super competitive game. So, we'll see there. So what do we got? High score Marcel, $25. Low score JJ, $5. So really, Marcel, you won 20 because you're going to be paying the $5 for JJ anyway. And I guess that's where we're at. Go Bills, and thanks for the ass whooping, Marissa. That was wonderful. And welcome back to fantasy, everybody.